This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means? It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Amazon for all your gifting needs.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
All right. Welcome back. It's Fit Nation.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its scenes while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs and voices never shared, and no one dared disturb the sound
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation. If you have not had the chance to check out our first book, 13-Step Guide to Success, it is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback versions. If you're going through some hard times, you do not have to go alone. Phone a friend and chat it out. If you do not want to talk to a friend, if you feel like you're a burden or you're embarrassed, call the crisis hotline at 1-800-273-8255. If you're a veteran, press option 1. Do not make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, we appreciate you joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast apps. Also, download the Military Broadcast Radio app to follow our family of shows, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, _Misfit Nation. This will keep you up to date with the latest episodes of the Misfit Nation and also allow you to hear the amazing stories of our guests. Speaking of which, our next guest is a former Special Operations soldier and Warrior's Heart co-founder. His service to our nation in the United States Army spanned nearly 21 years, 1990 to 2011. His military career included time with the 82nd Airborne, as a Green Beret in the Army's 7th Special Forces Group, and ultimately in the U.S. Army's 1st Special Forces Operation Detachment Delta as an operator. Since retiring in 2011, he's become successfully enabled thousands of warriors to acknowledge their struggles, seek treatment, and understand that they are not alone. He has dedicated his life to healing fellow warriors and started Warrior's Heart as the first and only private addiction treatment center in the United States that is exclusively for military, veterans, and first responders. He speaks from the heart about personally struggling with chemical dependencies, PTSD, and TBI, and more to help others. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Misfit Nation, Tom Spooner. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing good, Rich. Thanks for having me.
That's great.
I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Once I seen your title on your bio, I said I got to have this guy on here. He's a brother. He's chewed a lot of dirt with a lot of my brothers. I had brothers in both special in a 7th group and in a S5 Delta. So you probably knew them, and so I know you have that warrior's heart from there as well as what you do now.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, Tom, tell us what led you to joining the military in the first place. I mean, usually it's either a family legacy or just, hey, I'm growing up during the Cold War and I've seen some stuff on TV as a kid and I want to join the military too. So what was your military reason to join?
Mine was just like you had said, man, it's, everybody has a family business, and it appears that my family business is military and law enforcement, and so who really inspired me to join the military. I can't remember a time whenever I didn't want to join the military. My main motivators for that is my grandfather on my mom's side was a World War II veteran in the Army in the Philippines and during World War II. And then I had a uncle of mine that was a 3-tour Vietnam vet. So those guys, were those were who I, looked towards whenever it came to what it was like to join the military. So they were really my inspiration.
That's outstanding. What did you go in as, an infantryman or something else with the 82nd?
I did, and I came in 1990, in the summer of 1990, and there wasn't anything going on whenever I joined. And then while I was at basic training, and that's when the Gulf War kicked off and everything. And so I had already been to jump school. I went to jump school as a cadet whenever I was pretending to go to ROTC in Florida State. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, it was, so I was, in basic training. That kicked off, got orders right to the 82nd, came to Fort Bragg for about 2 months. It was about a month and a half total, and then immediately deployed. So that was my introduction into the Army, was like basic AIT, and then get on a plane, go to Saudi Arabia, and then Iraq.
Wow, what a welcome to the Army there. That's great.
It set the tone,
At least you knocked out airborne before you had to go through basic and AIT, so you had a little break there in between AIT and going away. So you got to see somebody say hello and goodbye at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then I guess you did a few years, became an NCO, then went to SF.
Yeah, so I was an infantryman in the 82nd, and then and while I was in the 82nd, I was there from 90 to 95, and every unit that I was in, man, I loved it. Like when I was my 5 years in the 82nd, I mean, I was going to all the hard schools, went to Ranger School and all that stuff. So, I mean, I was very fortunate, of jump master, all of that stuff. So I was living kind of the good life, as an E5 in the 82nd. But then it was just for me, I always wanted to like see what was next. The funny thing is the only special operations I ever thought of and what I tried to join as was go to Ranger Regiment. That's all I ever wanted to do, man, was be in the Ranger Regiment. Hilarious thing is that's the only unit that I didn't, not the only unit, but that's the unit I didn't get to go to.
Right.
We all got recruiter stories, right?
Right. So, I mean, you didn't touch that one, but you jumped over what people would say would be the stepping stone, would be the Ranger Regiment, for 82nd Ranger Regiment, and then SF, and then Delta. So you missed the one step there, the one you wanted to do actually the most.
But I wouldn't take it back, what
right.
I mean? I had a good run. So, but it's just funny how things work out, and you just gotta roll with it, man, make the best of it. And, that's the thing that I loved about being in the military also is, there's always so much opportunity, if you wanted to go for it, for something different. Or, I mean, still some of the best NCOs I had ever worked with, were E7s that were in conventional Army, the whole time, That's what I love about the military. It's got a spot for everybody.
Right. Everyone has a place they can shine. Like you said, if you want to do something in the military, all you got to do really is ask. The worst they can do is say no. And most times, like for you, I want to go SF. Yes, you can go. We're going to take you right now. Come on. You start working out with us for a couple days a week, a month, and we'll get you into team week. Let's go. Knock you out there. So, I mean, for the conventional side, all the schools are there as well. If you don't want to be in it, then you're not going to do it. You're just going to kind of drudge along through your career and be happy with what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah. But man, I was always a super lifer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the moment I joined until every moment I was there, man, I loved. I was good at it. I loved it. I mean, not everything about the military, right? Because we know there's a bunch of stupid shit that goes on. But I mean, I loved it, man. I mean, the only reason, I ended up getting medically retired. But I had planned on like doing 30, but
oh wow.
Yeah, I was always that guy was like, it was a given if I was re-enlisting or not, I just was figuring out what I was going to do along the way.
And what stage you were going to re-enlist on.
Exactly.
I want to do it hanging out of a helicopter. I got it. You good? You got this. With my jump master. Let's do this. So it all comes down to the when you could do it. So medical retired after 21 years. It's still a good long ride at 21 years. And I mean, by that time, especially with all those things you were doing, I'm sure your body was telling you, giving you some signs along the way that, hey, it might be time to press pause or stop.
Yeah, man. I ended up doing 12 deployments and had 40 total months time in combat. So,
wow.
Yeah, I had a good, and the majority of that was with the unit. So, I mean, it was really, really busy, but it was, to your point, yeah, it was between broken back surgery, shoulder surgery, leg surgery, you know what I mean? The normal kind of just getting scuffed up with, that lane of the profession. And and then I got a TBI, and then I got, a good amount of PTS cooking. And so, yeah, it was time. It was time for me to go whenever I did.
Yeah, I was told by my very first platoon sergeant when I was with the infantry at Fort Stewart. He told me, you'll know when it's time to get out. Your body will tell you, your mind will tell you. And as 2014 came around, I got that, all the signs came at one time. It was like the shining light came together, a big explosion, say, hey, it's time to hang up and let young guys do this. And 1 year later I was out. So you know the signs, your body tells you. It's sometimes like you didn't want to end at that point, but you knew you had to.
Oh yeah, man. And it was the best, because I was becoming that guy. The one that's like angry and like, this is all screwed up and you're all screwed up and what's going on here? I was just, but I realized that I was like, oh damn, like I'm that guy now. Like I don't want to go out like as that guy. So, and like you said, it just all, wrote everything out, talked to the wife, just friends, It was like everything added up. It's like, hey man, it was a great run, incredible run, and but it's time to go. It's time to move on. Had no idea what that was going to look like, but I knew it was time to move on.
You knew it was your time to hang up the boots and let someone else pick up the sword and go forward. I mean, for 21 years, you were jumping your whole career. That's a lot of taxing on your body right there. Even when you got to the unit and had actual good shoots, it
Right.
still was taxing on your body, and so you paid a hefty cost for your time. And we appreciate your service. 21 years doing it.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure, man. Only thing I wish I could have done is more of it.
Exactly. That's why I took my day job now. I train soldiers, and then I do this at night for my side gig. So I still have my finger on the pulse, but I don't have to stay overnight in the field. So it's good.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So you got out 2011. You said you didn't know what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
How did you come to the realization that, hey, we need to get this thing started, something that will help my brothers and sisters that are still serving, those who served with me, and of course, first responders, and start the warrior's heart?
Yeah, man. So it started with just a little bit of a rewind. I have struggled with alcoholism at a young age, and I ended up getting sober in 1992
Wow.
through 12-step program and support group and all of that stuff. So I had been not struggling with chemical dependencies or self-medication for a long time, which is the only reason why I survived there at the end, because I had that undiagnosed traumatic brain injury, and I had a healthy dose of post-traumatic stress and unprocessed trauma and all of that, just because of the job and everything that we did, and so the short version of that is that through another warrior, he was one of my best friends, which I was always honest with, the one guy, that I was always honest with. He told me, it's like, hey bro, you're screwed up. And I was like, everybody knows like me. And he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm like, hey, you need to get some help. So a bunch of different events happened, and I was messed up pretty good. It was I was only working on 50% processing speed with my brain and 50%
Wow.
of verbal memory. So a lot of executive functioning was not happening, but the good thing is that when I was going to get out, and I was like, man, let me just attack this the way I would attack anything else, So I went to cognitive therapy, vestibular therapy, psychological therapy. Even had to get on meds for a little while because I was chemically imbalanced for a little bit, just a light dose of Zoloft. And the thing about it was, after about 4 months of hitting it super hard like that, I started getting better, and but the game changer for me was that I wasn't struggling with the trifecta, with that self-medication piece, because I really don't believe I would have made it. It's hypothetical, but I really don't. I know how hard it was. And so, like getting back to the question as far as, so I had all of that going on. I have this super passion for, I was NCO, right? Mission, health, and welfare of the troops. That's all I care about. That's all I want to care about. And when I first got out, I didn't want to. I was like, well, I'm just going to do what my resume supports, and that was pistol, carbine, CQB, sniper. And 90% of that was with law enforcement, probably from 2011 until 2015, whenever we got the property for Warrior's Heart. So I immersed myself still with the culture. I still really I needed to be around it. I didn't like miss going on hits with them. Like, of course, if they'd invite me, they'd be like, "Hey, come do a ride along and this." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good." I got all I needed. But I really enjoyed teaching. I knew the stuff that I was teaching was pretty much gospel. It was all based off combat experiences, not theories. And so and I knew I was giving back, right, to the next generation, because that's what the first thing I had to get over was that I didn't die, because I fully expected to die. And this is how far I didn't have a death wish or anything like that, but somewhere along the line, I just had kind of conceded that, hey, just statistically, the numbers are going to catch up. And I was okay with it, with the mission that we were doing, and who I was doing it with, if that came, I was fine. I didn't even know what E8 pay made at as a retirement. You know? I didn't have a plan. You know what I mean? It was like I got a plan together. You know, like I said, to teach, and then my passion though was always to help, and got really involved in veteran suicide. You know, and helped create Mission 22, and so I was just because, like to your point of the why, which is super important, is like, man, I knew how hard I struggled. And when I say struggled, like obviously just in the struggle, trying to get better and heal, but also, man, it was 2010, 11 timeframe. I had to fight to get help, you know, and
Yep.
I had people, organizations like the Care Coalition. Like, I mean, I came from, you know, an elite organization where a bunch of people were wanting to help me, right? I mean, people were wanting to help me. And all I could think of is like, hey, man, what is that conventional military guy or gal that on their first deployment got blowed up, you know, and then next thing you know, they got medically discharged out of the Army after a year or two in. Like, who's helping them? You
Right.
know, I mean, like, so I just couldn't imagine. Well, I could imagine it, but it didn't set well with me to not do something about it. You know, like I said, I had a passion, especially on the self-medication side of helping folks out. And then in 2013 on a gig, I call it a fun and gun, but it was basically, you know, I was just trying to pay the bills, and we were working with an organization called the YPO, Young Presidents Organization, and put on this 3-day event, and it was pretty tough event. And but I met this guy named Josh Lannon. I didn't know the dude, but there we were in the woods of Hoffman, North Carolina, you know, outside of Camp McCall, just putting on a course, and come to find out that he was, you know, for 15 years, he had run private, you know, drug and alcohol rehabs, you know, in 6 different locations. And he wanted the 7th one to be, you know, for veterans only, you know, a veteran healing center. It's like, well, I'm kind of into that, you know, kind of, you know, and so anyway, that they had a lot of business stuff that was going on. So just fast forward, but we decided then it's like, hey, let's do it, you know. But meanwhile, I'm still trying to pay the bills and just keep chugging along. They were selling their other business, and him and his wife, Lisa Lannon, they're a husband and wife team. And so shortest version of the story is 2015, we drew everything up. We found the property. We acquired the property, and then April of 2016, we were licensed and we opened up. And from April of 2016 till today, we have just had over 1,800 warriors come through Warriors Heart.
That's a pretty good number in just 6 years. Just exactly 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot to help. That's a pretty good anniversary number. 1,800 warriors that have been helped and pushed into a better place in their lives to be successful, not just as an outgoing person, but to be a better member of society at that point too, because they're able to produce a little more and give positivity back and stuff like that. So that's a great thing that you guys have started there.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we're super, super proud of it. I mean, I'm obviously pretty into it, you know.
Yeah. And I see the drawing behind you on the wall there, the Warriors Heart emblem. That's pretty awesome. I like the logo. It resonates with a lot of people, I think, with the warrior, the W of the warrior going through the heart, so Warriors Heart, and that really helps out I guess it's welcoming to the veteran or the first responder that comes in there to sees a sense of, I'm part of this organization now, so I can go in there and hang out in Bandera, Texas, and get better and find a way to heal. Because to your point, like on your side of the fence, you had a staff of people who wanted to help you. On the other side, it's a lot different. And I know I came home from my 3rd deployment, and you go through that reintegration, and the first thing they told me was, hey, you're Sergeant First Class, you don't need help, get back in line.
Exactly.
I said, what? I said, I'm asking for help. No, you're good. Get back and lead. It's all right. 2 bags full. I'm out of here. Yeah. and that's that was me as a Sergeant First Class. I know it was happening for the E4 and below a lot more than that too, because they needed the numbers. They had to have those numbers to keep going back into the gym and go back out on the next plane.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what you have started here in Texas for 6 years now, I'm sure you're getting a lot of high fives from warriors that go through there, or organizations that are out there also sending veterans to you as they seem like maybe Wounded Warrior or even the VA. Do they recognize and send people to you to get help?
They do. Yeah, we have currently we probably have about 12 active duty here also.
Oh, wow.
So so we have active duty folks, but then because we're TRICARE certified, yeah, we're in contract and certified with the VA or Tri-West, and as far as in this region, and then all the other insurance companies, and then we, like you said, we also have all the organizations that we have some that folks that are struggling with, especially on the self-medication piece of it, you know, and because there's not a lot of places that do what we do, and that is we treat the self-medication piece or chemical dependency and the trauma at the same time, because that was one of there's nothing that we don't do out here that hasn't come from my own personal lessons learned, you know, and what I found going through, lack of better words, the system, you know, right, whether that was on active duty or in the veteran space is that they silo everything off, you know, hey, go over here for your TBI, hey, go over here for your PTS, hey, go over here if you're struggling with chemical dependencies. But I mean, I'm one person, you know, it just doesn't, even though it's convenient, you know what I mean, to be, you know, very specific, you know, it doesn't, it's not optimal. I won't say that it doesn't work, but it is not optimal, you know. So, because a lot of times, you know, they'll say, well, is it the unprocessed trauma that brings about the drinking and the drugging, or is it the drinking and the drugging that brings up the unprocessed trauma? It's like, well, who cares, man? Just treat both of them, and then and then whichever one, you know, was in the lead, like, you know, and so that's one thing that we're super proud of doing here, because when we created Warriors Heart, it wasn't just about like a better widget or, you know, something that was just a little bit better or a little bit different. I mean, we occupied this space that didn't exist. Like I said, we're still the only one in the nation that serves only this population. There's a lot of places that have a veteran track or, you know, a law enforcement track, but really, you know, but you can't get that peer network that we know how powerful is unless you have the same peer group that's in there, you know, because it wasn't about being who's better, who's lesser, who's higher, who's lower. It has to do with like a law enforcement officer sitting next to a drug dealer. They're not going to have a peer network. You know, you got a combat veteran sitting next to a business guy. Even though we need to do the same things to get better, I mean, we may be friendly and kind to one another, or whatever, but we're not going to have a common bond, you know. So whenever you have this population, so many things that we know just occur naturally. You know, a lot of people talk about mentorship, and like, we don't have to talk about that. Like, it occurs in our population. If you see the new guy come in, hey bro, let me tell you, this is what's happening. You know, I mean, they immediately start assisting one another. Everybody has bad days and good days, and keeping that peer network the same, man, it's unsaid. I mean, it's just our culture.
Right. And when you have that network of people, like-minded people, or like-brained people that you've served with or have gone through similar things, you have a tendency to want to succeed with them and have both of you succeed and push each other to that finish line and be successful in life as you go through it.
Yeah. And, you know, it takes one of us to check one of us.
Right.
You know, because I can have a doc or somebody else, you know, I mean, say, you know, yapping at me all day long, and I'm okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't really care, you know, and however, if you're looking at me in my eyes and you're like, hey, bro, that's some, you know, like, what are you doing? You know, and like, I have to, hey, you know what I mean? It's a check, you know, and that's with any population, whether you're a group of doctors or a group of, you know what I'm saying? If you're around, like you said, the like-minded folks, and even though a combat veteran and a stateside EMT, their physical experiences might be very different. The things that are eating us up inside are exactly the same, man. It's the loss of loved ones. It's the loss, of the innocence. It's always the same kind of things, So the things that we bond on, we have all the relatable stories, that go together. When it comes down to the things that are really, that we'll call it, need to be worked on and processed and gone through, man, it's all the same,
Definitely. And earlier you said you started Mission 22. My buddy George, who's on episode 2 of the Misfit Nation, he called me last week, and knowing my motto is challenge accepted, he threw a challenge out to me to ruck march from St. Louis to Fort Campbell to the division headquarters here. He wanted to do it in 3 days. I had to explain to him that's a lot of miles per day, but I didn't give him an answer right away because he already knew my answer. So I didn't really have to tell him the answer, but Saturday I actually gave me the answer. Yeah, we're going to do this. So it's better for us to do this in the cold month. Let's do it in December. He told me it's too cold in December. So we're going to do it after November, after Thanksgiving Day. We'll do that Friday. So on Black Friday, we'll start our walk from the Arch back to Fort Campbell to the division headquarters to raise awareness for the 22 and for all veterans issues, suicides, mental health crises, homelessness, underemployment, and just the woe is me, a lot of the guys who feel they're broken because they've been told they're broken, but they're not really broken. They just need a little push, a little tweak to get them better. And so we're going to do that as our little piece and try to raise money along the way.
That is incredible, man.
It's probably going to be painful, but we're going to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It'll absolutely be painful, but hey, that's the only thing that makes it worth it, right?
Yeah, it's 242 miles of us talking crap to each other since he's a Green Side Navy guy, so we'll be talking Army against Marines, Army against Navy the whole way. It's like our normal day for the two of us, but this time we'll be walking for a very, very long time.
Dang, man. That would be an incredible event.
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully live stream most of it via my podcast and via other networks, so or people driving by us giving us the thumbs up or yelling at us to get out of the way. It'll be fun. So as part of the treatment plan, is there a mixture of physical, spiritual, mental kind of training that they go through to get through it?
Absolutely, man. And the number one thing so two main things that happen, of course there's a lot, but it's the first thing is whenever the guys and gals, whenever they show up here, the first thing from all the staff, from all the folks for the first few days is they get welcomed home. They get said, welcome home. And it's because we know, even though we're physically here, a lot of times, especially the folks that are come here, mentally, emotionally, they're not, so it's very meaningful. It's very impactful, especially when it's, coming from your own. And so there's that piece, and everything that we do out here is meant to do one thing, and that's to remind them of who they are, not who they're not, because the folks, when they come to us, they're at the bottom that they've ever been in their lives. And so, and that's all that they see, and it's all around, and it's very real and it's very truthful. And however, weren't always like that. Most of the folks that end up on this side of the house were top performers in whatever field that they came from. So everything that we do is just about reminding them, hey, remember who you are. Right. This is just where you're at right now. And to your point, and we don't do anything here militaristic at all, because who wants to do that? It's,
get flashbacks.
But it has that flow and it has that rhythm, as far as like, hey, first meeting's at 07, accountability meeting, like, okay, got it. Morning meeting, chow's at 7:30. All right, hey, yoga's at 8:30, or nature walk, hey, at 10 o'clock is first class, 12 o'clock is chow, 1300 to 1700 is metal shop, wood shop, art, more gym time, K9, and then 1700 is chow, 1800 you get the phones to 1900, final class, and then lights out by 2300, and so it's got that familiar rhythm that everyone's gone to an academy or a basic training or something. It's not like basic training. It's that, it's that everybody's got that. It's very familiar, so just kind of start picking up on it. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is familiar, and that's the intent of it. And but we do a lot of the, because we do a lot of post-traumatic stress, moral grief and injury, all of that kind of stuff out here. And the thing is that, like with PTS, for an example, there's two categories for that, and that's victims and volunteers. And a lot of folks experience PTS because they have been victimized by some, they got attacked, whereas, we volunteered to put ourselves in that position. It's the same kind of trauma, you know what I mean? Like, hey, it's still post-traumatic stress, it's still unprocessed trauma. However, the approach is much different. If you come at to me like I'm a victim, like that's not gonna last very long, But you approach me as a volunteer, like, hey, you volunteered to put yourself in this situation to receive this kind of trauma. Hey, let's approach it from this way, So just the way that we approach things, and the way that, like I said, we have all the different. We do a bunch of hard work. Whether it's a lifeline, whether it's doing one-on-one therapies, whether it's in group, we're getting at that stuff that we don't like talking about, that we prefer not to ever talk about it. However, that's not working anymore. We're not asking anybody to give up anything that's working for them, just the things that's not working for them. And, but we balance that out, with that hard emotional work with some letting off steam, what I mean? Whether that's pounding out a tomahawk, art
Nice.
piece there, forging that piece, doing some artwork, working with the canines, more gym time, because, we can't just stay in there. We got to have, and all that creativity, we all know how good creativity is for the brain, but it's also good for what we're trying to do with our lives, which is build something instead of destroying it. So everything that we do just ties into them, getting healthy. And that's one of the mottos we have, is strength through healing, because we all want to be strong, you know what I mean? And how we get strong now is like, hey, let's heal up some of this stuff that's worthy of healing. And it's not a weakness, that's a strength,
Definitely. And I think the way you guys have it set up, the structure, like you said, that brings the familiarity to those who are in service, or even first responders. They have structure too, and they got to have a routine. And I think that routine or structure helps them in their healing process, because they know each part of the day is check marks. They get everything done, and they look forward to certain parts. I'm sure one day they look forward to something more than the other. Like you said, we don't all like to share in the group. We all don't like to go to them ugly parts and say things. But the things after that, like you said, making a tomahawk or hanging out with the canines, working with the canines, those things give them a release that helps them get that other part out of there.
Absolutely, man. And like you said, it was, and it goes back to that bond. You know what I mean? We went through all that stuff together. It just makes sense that, okay, we'll heal together also.
Right.
It's a proven tactic, If we stay together and we look after each other's back, if we call each other on like, hey, what needs called on, and with the intention of just getting stronger and getting better, and and getting back into the stream of life. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. It's not anything complex.
Not reinventing the wheel, so it's good.
Oh.
How can someone, I guess, donate time or efforts to help you guys out?
And the biggest thing, and I always say this, the biggest thing is promotion. And what I mean is just talking about it. If you've heard us on this podcast, or people run into it, like, do a little research on it, and anything that you can do to help get the word out, as far as whether sharing on social media, or just having conversations, or just knowing that it exists, because a lot of the folks, at least 50% of them, that come out here, they didn't know about us until that last moment, where it's like, so and so, the family member or somebody helped them out, and and got them there. So that's the first thing that I would say was always is anything that you could do to help promote would just be amazing.
Awesome. And I know you said Tri-West has accredited you. Does all the Tri-Care regions accept you, and or they be willing to send someone from all over the country there?
That is correct, especially on Tri-Care. We're not in, so Tri-Care East and West is broken down into, and we're certified for both of those in the East region. When it comes to Tri-West, which is the VA's kind of insurance aspect of it on the VA side, we're in network with Tri-West. But then on the East Coast, they break it out a little bit different. But I know that there's been many a veteran that if they make enough noise and advocate for themselves strong enough, but that's the bad thing is that I'll never talk bad about the VA. There's a bunch of incredible people that are trying to do the best they can. It's just an overwhelmed system,
Yes.
and like I said, I'll never talk bad about any of that's going on. I've got opinions like we all do, but I just always remember the human beings that are working in there tirelessly to help out, veterans. It's a good deal. But sorry for the long answer to the question. Tri-Care, yes to the VA.
It was a good answer all the way. It worked out. You got it right. And I'm on the same boat with you with the VA. There's just another profession that's trying to do their job the best they can with what they have. And as the population grows of veterans, because people are aging a lot more now. I think the longevity now is a lot longer than it was 50 years ago when the VA was thought of, and they haven't really evolved to keep up with that longevity, especially with the hundreds of thousands of veterans coming out of this new era, on top of the Vietnam era, on top of what's left of the Korean War era. It's hard to keep up with all that. And at some point it'll all come to a full circle and they'll catch up and get overwhelmed again. So it's a never ending cycle. But I'm glad they're there, and I'm hopefully it's better now than it was for our dads and uncles in Vietnam.
Absolutely. Man.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
So Tom, how does someone get in contact with you to either become a guest at the Warrior's Heart, or B, to have you or your co-founders on their shows and talk about all the great things we talked about?
And so for the potential clients, the folks that are interested, or if they just have questions about a friend,
I've seen that on.
Right. But also with the family members and stuff. So if you go to warriorsheart.com, that's where the website, and it's got all the information on there, but also what's on there is a phone number. And that phone number is to our admissions advocates. And we call them advocates because that's what they do. As soon as you call, whoever you are, whether it's a family member, a friend, or someone who's seeking help, if any questions that you have about whatever it is, they'll immediately start giving you answers to that question. And they immediately start advocating for the warrior that's on the other end of the line, or the family member or friend, because a lot of times that's who it is, and so that's the best way to do it, is to go to the website, warriorsheart.com.
Awesome. Tom, thanks for taking some of your time this evening to hang out with us and share your story with the Misfit Nation.
Rich, thank you for having me, and I'll be happy to come on anytime you'd like.
Awesome. I'll probably reach out to you during my 242-mile march to tell you how bad it is and make you laugh.
That sounds like it. Tell me how sore your feet are.
Outstanding. Thanks, Tom. Have a good night.
You too, Rich.
I ain't watching TV today. Bad news, it can just stay away. If you ain't got anything good to say, then shut your mouth. I got my windows down and my blinders on. Radio set to my favorite song. All green lights on the road I'm on, and there ain't no doubt I'm getting them good vibes. I'm living this good life. I'm breathing on God's time, and I ain't gonna waste one breath. I'm soaking it all up. I got me a full cup, and there ain't nothing gonna spill it. got a good girl, she got a good smile. I kiss her good morning, I kiss her good night. We keep it on the up, that's how we get down. So don't be coming around unless you got them good vibes. I'm living this good life. I'm breathing on God's time. And I ain't gonna waste one breath. I'm soaking it all up. I got me a full cup. And there ain't nothing gonna spill it, nothing gonna kill it. Waving them words goodbye. I'm feeling them good vibes. I'm breathing on God's time. And I ain't gonna waste one breath. I'm soaking it all up. I got me a full cup. And there ain't nothing gonna spill it, nothing gonna kill it. Waving them words goodbye. I'm feeling them good vibes. Oh, I'm feeling them good vibes. Yeah.
Where do I turn to when there's no choice to make? And how do I presume when there's so much at stake? I was so sure of it all. But what if I need you in my darkest hour? And what if it turns out there is no other? If this is our last hope, we would see a sign. Oh, we would see a sign. Well, I've been running from the ashes we left. Forgiveness begs for itself, but how can I forget when there's a stain on it all? But what if I need you in my darkest hour? And what if it turns out there is no other? We had it all. If this is our time now, we wanna see a sign. Oh, we would see a sign. So give us a sign. I need some guiding light. Children of darkness. Oh.
You know how we do this. Thanks for taking some of your time to spend with us on Fit Nation. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share the link as much as possible. If you want to, please become a supporter to help us carry this thing on. We appreciate you. If you know someone that brings that energy, has a great story, is an up-and-comer in the industry of music, in the arts, have them reach out to us on themisfitnation.com. We will get back to them within one day and get them on here so they can share their story with the world. As always, till next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Fit Nation.